Leadership Unleashed, a place where we explore leadership ideas and dare to question the status quo. Today we're going to talk about psychological safety. Have you ever worked for somebody or had a relationship that you just completely trusted them, that you knew no matter what you said or did, you were going to be treated fairly, and that your words and everything you did were going to be kept in complete confidence? That any little weakness you showed was never going to be used against you or repeated somewhere in a hallway? What you're experiencing when you feel that is called psychological safety. So what is psychological safety? In our private life, we often just think of it as people that we can trust, that we can tell our deepest, darkest secrets to. At work and in groups of people, psychological safety is the confidence that you're not going to be punished or humiliated if you speak up, or when you bring up a new idea, however silly it may seem, or that your concerns or questions, and most importantly your mistakes, are just not going to be punished, in public especially, but you're not going to be humiliated or called out or made to feel stupid. It's important to know that the goal of creating psychological safety is not creating an environment where everybody just gets along all the time and has kind of faux happiness. It's an environment that is safe, that you're not going to be punished, you're not going to be humiliated, and you're not going to, in the future, restrain yourself from speaking up because you fear punishment. In fact, when you walk into an environment or attend meetings where everybody is just agreeable all the time, this can be a sign that there is total lack of psychological safety because no one's willing to speak up for the things that matter because they fear punishment or humiliation, or why bring it up? It just doesn't matter. Nobody's going to listen to me. In the workplace, especially in high-risk situations where accidents can happen and lead to either loss of life or limb, psychological safety is so important because it allows teams to trust each other and have each other's backs, especially again in those high-risk situations. We want to make sure that we can avoid bad situations, and the way we do that is creating psychological safety. I experienced this many times when I was a director over surgical services with people in the operating room. Those teams that had high psychological safety watched out for each other. They had each other's back. They made sure that the other person didn't step into it. If they were going to make a mistake, they would often head them off at the pass. And ultimately, they made sure that their patients and their coworkers were safe. So how do we create psychological safety, and what things should we avoid? Start by making sure you communicate to your team that psychological safety is a priority. State it. Tell them that we're going to make this environment safe. You need to ensure that you create ground rules, and especially with a new group that's coming together, make sure that etiquette is established on how people will work together and communicate. Talk about how we're going to make sure everybody gets their turn to speak, for example. Most people understand that when you're having private conversations, the content needs to be kept in the room. And you need to never repeat anything without the explicit permission of the person that you're talking to. Never assume that they've given you permission. You always got to ask. And in most cases, it's better never to share anything. You just need to be a vault. When you're having group discussions or a group comes together, make sure that you never belittle people or never put people down. The first time you do this, every single other person in the room is going to know that a rule has just been established, that you never speak up, you never put yourself out there, never make yourself vulnerable because you may be attacked or put down, and you will lose people's brightest ideas. Always remember to facilitate speaking up. When people are quiet in the corner or in the background, find ways to encourage their participation in the discussion. These are often the ones with the best answers. They're just a personality type that isn't going to speak up or battle with all those that are over the top in the meeting and want to take up all the air. Make sure you create space for ideas and make sure that everybody gets a chance to participate. So not only calling out that quiet person, going around the room systematically, making sure that everybody gets a chance to speak up and participate is vital. Also, make sure that you manage those people that like to take control of the room and the dialogue by giving those that aren't speaking up time to specifically do it. You can, at the beginning, set rules and say, we're going to give everybody a minute or two to talk, and I'm going to make sure everybody that is not speaking up gets a chance, because there are personalities and people that will take over all the time if you let them. Make sure you celebrate wins every time you get a chance, and this is every little win. It's an opportunity to give compliments, call out people's good work, make sure you celebrate them, because again, when people come to the meeting or interact with you, they know that they're going to be honored for their good work. If you do have to correct somebody, do it in private. One rule of thumb is to praise in public and then correct in private. Nobody wants to be called out in front of their peers to look silly. So I've outlined a few ways that you can create psychological safety in a group. It's important to be consistent and use explicit and implicit rules every single time you have these conversations. People will pay attention. It only takes one slight to stop people from speaking up. If you practice this consistently and demonstrate this through your actions and your words, you'll create psychological safety over time, and you'll ultimately create trust and a safer work environment for everybody. Thank you for listening today.